This afternoon, really, I'll just give you a quick intro and for you to understand why I'm here. So I'm kind of a bit like Dom. I work for Wine Australia. We've got an AgTech program that sits very much alongside what PIRSA and SARDI are doing with their AgTech program. So rather than putting technology onto government sites, which had a lot of value, our approach has been to put some technology onto commercial sites and really test AgTech solutions with commercial growers. So we have some very, very small family-owned vineyards. We have some very large commercial vineyards as well. And the whole idea is that growers can talk to other growers about their experience with AgTech. It's all fantastic for someone like myself to get up here and spruik about technology, but really the rubber's not going to hit the road until you see it working and working well on another producer's farm. We do know that growers talking to other growers is the best way for people to share knowledge. So to that point, I'm not going to do too much talking today, but did want to invite the panel to come up and sit up the front if you could. I'll do a quick intro for these gents as they come onto the stage. And just as a bit of background as well, bit of background as well. Wine Australia's AgTech program's been running for about 2.5 or 3 years now. One of the first things we did, and I've come from the other side of the fence where I was using a lot of AgTech, and to be perfectly frank with you, about 5 years ago, was pretty disappointed with what was out there. Had a lot of failures and a couple of very small wins in there. And it really did get me thinking about the role of organisations such as SARDI and PIRSA and Wine Australia to help break down the barriers to adoption for AgTech. And like I said, one of the first jobs we did was a global scan of all the AgTech solutions that are applicable for viticulture. And as a part of that, we asked questions about the business model as well as the technology. So really focusing on technology that is mature. Has it got a good business model behind it? If you pick up a phone and you want to chat to someone on a customer service line, are you getting someone locally? Are you getting someone offshore? Is anyone actually going to answer your phone? We came across these fantastic small AgTech startup companies that have a fantastic web page. They've got customer use cases. You pick up the phone and you find out it's a 16-year-old kid welding stuff in his dad's back shed, and he's called himself an AgTech company. Now, absolutely fantastic. That sort of company has a place in the ecosystem, but when it comes to scalability or when it comes to customer support, we find out 6 or 12 months into that program that it's not working particularly well because that business doesn't have scalability. So a lot of these questions we asked of the AgTech companies straight up. The idea with that is to make it easy for growers to then come and engage. We've done somewhat of a vetting system so that you know that these organisations actually have a business model and they have technology that's proven. And then the next step in that is taking those technologies, putting them on a commercial site. Now that in itself is fine, but then what comes next? And this is where we have a guy like Tom Jeffries in the middle. I'll introduce him in a second, who's an agronomist who's been working with us to run and test that AgTech with a return on investment kind of model. And return on investment, a lot of us equate that to dollars, but it's much more than that. And this is something that we've learned very quickly, is that for a lot of growers and producers, return on investment is not just about your bottom line. It's about de-risking your business decisions. Some of these intangible benefits for farmers, which is to finish work on time as opposed to finishing at 7 o'clock. Wouldn't it be nice to finish at 3:30, pick your kids up from school? Helping you achieve sustainability outcomes so that you can become SWA accredited. Using less water. A lot of growers naturally have really good environmental values and principles, and AgTech solutions can help you achieve these environmental outcomes. So we learned really quickly for a lot of growers it's not about bottom line. So when we're doing this return on investment, for a lot of growers, it's quite layered and very different. And these are the sorts of stories that we want to share with you guys today. So on the panel from the other end there, we've got Darren. Next to him is Marty Galash from up in Ebenezer. Next to him, we've got Tom Jeffries from DJ's Growers down in McLaren Vale. And then we've got Sean Shrapel from also Ebenezer, or certainly up this way, and Ben Richards from Molly Dooker down in McLaren Vale as well. So big hand for these blokes for turning up today. I might start at this end then with you, Ben. The question is, what are the major challenges you're solving or looking to solve with technology on your farm?
The main kind of challenges are probably becoming more efficient and more efficient use of time. I guess time is money, essentially, and less kind of data entry or more kind of less double handling of information. So we've got a couple of different techs, kind of more data entry side of things, and then also being more targeted approach towards kind of sprays or certain blocks or side of things. So being more targeted, putting our kind of money where it's better used and within the site, that kind of gives us better profit or better return on investment. So that's kind of where we're targeting, but other people, everyone's different and everyone targets different avenues.
Over to you, Sean. Is there anything that, or what are fundamentally some of the business challenges or the growing challenges you're trying to solve with tech?
For one, like we're into GPSs heavily at our place, have been for about 18 months, and we seen there was not enough tech coming from broadacre into viticulture quick enough. So we've implemented bringing spray controllers into the equation, saving us significant spray, and also, yeah, we're minimising our wastage pretty much straight away. We're pretty much at 100% efficacy with our sprayer. We're at 99.75%, I think we worked it out to be. And like this year, we've just seen massive results because of it with the high intense spraying we were doing this year. And yeah, it just seems to be working, and we are getting our money back rapidly.
Sure, fantastic, thank you. Next down the line, Tom, an agronomist more so than a landowner yourself. So what are some of the challenges you're seeing your growers come to you with that you think tech can help solve?
Yeah, so last year we did a bit of a survey with growers and agronomists and viticulture managers and vineyard managers and whatnot. We sort of found that a lot of the pain points were pruning, labour management, variability within a vineyard and addressing that effectively. Another couple were, well, disease actually wasn't an issue, but I think it might pop up again this year. But one that sort of we decided to address, one of the problems for pruning and labour management, was we actually utilised some drone data, drones on a vineyard, and where they surveyed the vineyard quite a lot more accurately. The old records of that vineyard weren't that accurate. They were done, the vine counts were done on polygons, just estimations essentially of how many vines are in a block. So getting a proper survey done and then going out and subtracting those missing vines as well, we got quite a good return on investment from just that, from one survey done with the drone. Then while that drone was out, we also got some more data that we're continuously using and to change sort of to help manage variability in a vineyard. So whether that be variable yield, variable quality, we're sort of honing in on that as we speak, trying to get more out of that data, and that's through NDVI, hyperspectral cameras and multispectral. The other one was irrigation efficiencies. So again, this drone you can put a thermal camera on it. You can address irrigation leaks more effectively. So you go to your pain points first. You hit the big leaks first from the thermal imagery that shows all your hot spots, all your cold spots, I should say. So you can hit those first. Get rid of your main problems, your biggest wastages first, and then go through your normal checkups of irrigation from then on. Yeah, so efficiencies and that sort of thing as well. The other pain point was probably just worker time management and contractor time management. So there's apps out there. There's multiple, but namely onside. Use onside to check into a vineyard, and you can see your contractors check in, and you can make sure that they're doing the right thing, or they're not spraying a chemical that's it's dangerous and people are walking in that vineyard. So you're aware that they're spraying that chemical through that app as you check in. That sort of thing is, pretty useful.
Awesome, thank you. It's a good array there. Marty, question for you then. What sort of problems were you having, or do you have, on your vineyard that you think tech can help with?
Yeah, so I guess the main things we were looking at when we were approached was being North Barossa. We have some pretty finite resources out there, and it's making the most of those that I guess was part of it. A lot of what we've done is similar to, sorry, I forgot your name. Tom's experience with the hyperspectral cameras and trying to find the really easily fixed things first, but then moving more onto moisture management and using IR, infrared technology, to try and run the vines to a point without overdoing it. Mm-hmm. So we're aiming at A-grade quality, trying to strike that balance between vine health and the right stress and so forth to get the result you want is a challenge.
Yeah.
Over the last few years, we've seen quite some variable weather over the journey, and trying to find ways of getting consistency on a low yield, high quality block by using this technology. That's the aim. We're still pretty early on into it, so there's a lot of promise to it. We'll see how we go, but that's the aim.
Yeah, beautiful. That's a good response, and I think it's tough at the moment as well, because the last couple of years I think we've become a little bit detuned to the fact that water is actually a massive challenge and will continue to be so. And in years where there's abundant water, it kind of drops off the narrative a little bit, and then pest and disease becomes something quite important. We're just coming out of El Nino and going into La Nina again, or the other way around, and we know that it's going to be hot and dry in a couple of years' time. And I think you see the number of water-saving technologies out there at the moment that are really starting to so to speak, rise to the surface. It's hard in the last couple of years because we haven't really needed to worry about water as much. But I know this is something that is a problem or a challenge in the Barossa, is managing water resources.
Yeah, it's not just saving the water, but it's also using it and getting the right reactions from the plants, which to get that high quality and not overdo it. That seems to be something that I wasn't expecting, but that came out of the stuff that we did this year.
Yeah, brilliant.
Was that there's potentially ways of using that water that is almost measurable to attempt to get a certain result.
Awesome.
I'll let you know.
And finally, Darren, not Rob.
Yeah.
Darren, on your vineyard, what sort of challenges have you been faced with that you're looking to solve with tech?
We've been getting older as the years have been going. The vines are getting older. Trying to keep the fruit cleaner, getting better quality, and such as. So I've got the AWG destemmer sorter on the harvester. So that's cleaning all the dead wood and everything out of the machine and trying to get better results through that kind of process.
And that's a part of having an older vineyard too, isn't it? With a lot of that, you either have Utipa or you've got dead arm and dead wood in.
Yeah.
This is giving you the opportunity to premiumise your pick, I guess.
Yes, and also machines aren't getting cheaper, so basically put a machine on the machine and you come up to what they are now, basically. So, yeah.
And with that technology, that's working on an older machine?
The
That's something you've retrofitted?
The machine's 20 years old and it's still going quite strong and still picks pretty well, so can't afford a new machine, so we put the stemmer on there, so works
good.
really well.
Fantastic.
So,
yeah, that's great. And that's that cost balance too, isn't it? Like a new selective machine is probably $500,000. This is something that's a lot more affordable, I guess. The challenge is a price point.
Yes, and you're not using as much diesel, not running the fans at full tilt, and more efficient, cleaner, and most of the time you can put it straight into a fermenter and ferment it, so
Yeah, beautiful.
any more waste.
And have you guys had any challenges with labour, as in finding people to come and do some of the work? So if your option maybe is to do something like that or handpick, is that still?
We can't afford that. That's just, the price has just gone through the roof, like with labour and everything else. It's just, yeah.
One of the things that I think, certainly for me, I think is really important is to understand return on investment. Like I spoke about, a lot of the time it's more than just money. We've heard about things like accessibility to labour, simply getting the job done, managing resources. You mentioned a health and safety aspect as well, so ensuring that people are able to operate safely on their environment. But what are some of the key return on investments that you've found, Ben, with the tech that you've engaged with so far?
Definitely, I guess, less time and effort spent potentially looking or data entry into certain things. We've also got the BioScout units out in field as well, so that's disease spore detection. So I'm looking at that and looking kind of at what current sprays we're looking at putting on, and if there's no kind of downy mildew spores present, maybe removing the copper from that spray round or pushing the spray rounds out if the spore loads are lower. So I guess return on investment with that way is reducing sprays. Potentially in the future it might actually increase sprays, but then that will kind of, I guess, keep your quality the same or increase quality as well. And yeah, it's kind of, it is the labour side as well as kind of not only our benefit but also the industries. When I put the kind of tech towards our powers that be, it wasn't just about how is Molly-Duca going to benefit from this, it is how's the industry or McLaren Vale going to benefit from this. So we're not looking at just as our business return on investment, we're looking at how we can benefit kind of the industry and our neighbours and everyone as well, because if they're not producing or they're not kind of striving as well, well then we kind of get brought down with their neighbouring vineyards covered in disease, or kind of the contractors not keeping up to play. So we're kind of looking at it at a holistic view, as well as just ours. So a lot of different things. Return on investment's not straight away. We're definitely looking further down the track. Not just within the couple of years. We're looking kind of 10, 15 years down the track, looking at can this benefit us just from historical data
But that's
as well.
quite a long horizon, like 10 to 15 year view on things, especially at the moment where things are tough. You know, return on investment, you kind of want to know you're going to get something back in the next year or two, but maybe it's a bit of a trade-off with that, isn't it, I guess? But
It is. And we know everyone kind of, especially up here, McLaren Vale not as much, but up here people are struggling, and I guess we're not struggling as much. So again, kind of trying to benefit the industry by we are able to sell our wine and we haven't had a problem with it. So we're kind of like, well, we're striving. Let's kind of see what we can do to help everyone else. So.
Sure, great. Sean, do you have anything you want to talk about with regards to return on investment for you?
Yeah, so for same as Chappie, to go out and buy a $180,000 sprayer, whatever it may be, was just way too far out of our ballpark. So our philosophy was that we've got a good sprayer that gives us a very good coverage, even in the circumstances that we were last year. Let's optimise that and actually bring in new technology for that. So we put on a section and rate control, had it all set up, auto, switching on and off at headlands and stuff like that. And it saved us in not only just chemical and time, but just driver fatigue. I was mainly the one operating it, but like you would come off the sprayer after, say, a 10-hour shift and you would just be still fresh as a daisy, really. So for me, it was actually being able to wake up the next day and actually be able to do it again and just keep backing it up and not have to worry about having someone else to take over because you're mentally fatigued by looking back and making sure this is driving straight when it's really wet and making sure the wheels turn, essentially. So we actually took out a lot of that human error, and we also, we're just looking at different aspects of where we can really optimise that. So we also started pinning through the vineyard, because it's all auto steer, we started pinning vines that were missing, so we were actually able to bring that up on a phone. We're going to go down road 23 because there's 2 missing vines. We can replant them. Rather than just using it just for a spraying aspect, we've actually been able to optimise it throughout our whole vineyard and start looking at what other things can we do with it and really push it to its limits. So, yeah, that's that's just a start of where we're going with it. So it's our return on investment isn't just by dollar value like everyone else. It's just we're looking at what else can we get from it. Like it's beyond us what we can do, and we just got to keep pushing it harder and harder and see what we can do with it.
Sure, that's great. Quick one for you,
Yeah.
Tom.
Yeah, the return investment is obviously probably the most important part. Wouldn't use AgTech if you didn't get something out of it. Obviously, perennial crop, pretty hard to quantify some of the return. I think we just got to sort of try to monitor it correctly and try to quantify everything we do, manage our time, make sure we're keeping track of our time so we understand how much time we're actually putting into a certain AgTech device or product, how much support we're getting for that, and keeping that in mind with how much you're going to get out of this product. So if it's going to take you way too long, then maybe make that call earlier and not use it, or go ahead and talk to your growers, talk to your friends, your neighbours, your consultants, and say, have you guys used this product before? How much do we have to import? How much time do you have to put into this? Is it worth my time? Do we get anything out of it? Talk around, talk to your neighbours, talk to people within different regions, because other people are using different devices, different technologies in different regions for other purposes. And what works in Barossa doesn't necessarily work in the hills. For example, some of the satellite imagery isn't as useful in the hills as it is in the Barossa and McLaren Vale. Just from VSP, mid-rows and that sort of thing. So, yeah, keep all that in mind.
Sure. I actually got a different question for you, Marty, if you don't mind. Because I know this is relevant for you, but what are some of the factors with regards to the AgTech and more so the AgTech company that's supporting you? What are some of the critical things for you when you're considering what AgTech to engage with?
Well, I guess we've had the opportunity to try several different things over the last couple of years, and I guess what has defined whether I've had a good or bad experience with a certain one company or another is often the amount of support in follow-up that you get from them. So we've had a couple where the tech is perfectly good, it works fine, they're getting a little bit of feedback from us, we're getting some information, but then there's a question, or then and you can't get hold of someone, and all of a sudden it becomes really difficult. So that's one thing, is making sure that they're in it. I found out with one particular group that the tech we were trialling was actually registered in the US, and the company in Australia was just selling it and had pretty much just sold it, and then walked away.
So having that customer support available is massive, it feels like,
That's what's made it, for someone like me at least anyway, who is still sort of trapped back in the old pencil and paper. It's fine, I can use a computer, but it's not my strong point. Dave will tell you how good I am at answering emails. That's for someone who's still a little bit old school in that respect. That follow-up and helping me through that initial period of getting used to something is really important, because most farmers that I know will sit there and go, yeah, they'll nod and smile as if they get it, and they won't get it. And at that point, it's pointless for them.
Did you notice these guys nodded and smiled when you said that? Yeah, sure. Yeah, great.
So, yeah, like I said, just thinking about what sort of relationship you're going to have with them, finding out a little bit more about the company as well. But certainly the ones that we've had the best results, or I feel the best about, are the ones where I now know all of the people by name. They're ringing me with a question, I'm ringing them with a question. And that's some of those have been really, really positive.
It's a great answer. I think having that personal relationship makes a big difference as well. And it comes down to trust too, I think too. You know, you trust a product, and then when things go wrong, you want to trust the company that sits behind the product to support you.
Yeah.
Chappie, for you, how important is that for you as well? I mean, you know, you've got a fairly significant piece of mechanical equipment.
Yeah.
What are the important things for you with regards to that?
Well, the machine that we've got, he actually sold us the machine 20 years ago, so we've known him for many years. And whenever we've got a problem, we'll just ring him up any time of the day, night, whatever. Just ring him up and we'll try and work it out, what's going on.
I like that you said night as well.
Yeah,
So, yeah, 24/7. Yeah.
I do get some sleep sometimes, but no, it's been really good, and all the guys I deal with have been pretty good. So, yeah.
How important is it, and this is open for the whole panel, how important is it that AgTech is manufactured and supported locally as opposed to an international company?
So we use a Trimble-based system, which is pretty much overseas. So we did find there was a few nitpicks that we had to work out for vineyards, and once we saw them out, it was a dream to run. But to get that information, it took me about 3 to 4 weeks to get that information out of Europe. And once I got the contact that I needed, he contacts me for information. I contact him, a bit like what Marty was saying. But it did take a bit of time to find the right person for the exact thing that I was after. So once we found that, it was all go ahead from there.
Sure. I'll give you one last question to pose for everybody here is if there's one piece of advice you would give to someone else looking to invest in AgTech, what would that piece of advice be when you're considering what tech to use?
Definitely talk to as many people as you can, or don't just kind of jump in straight away because that's the next big thing or the next best thing. I guess talk to people that have used it, that have proven results with it, and also talk to the company. Like, they're wanting your business as well. They're willing to work with you. Don't just jump in kind of just all willy-nilly ready to go. Talk to them, discuss the whole kind of process and everything. If it's not right for you, it's not right for you. Don't waste your money. And also, you got to figure out what is going to be your kind of is going to provide you that efficiency, the profit return, or increase in productivity. So, yeah, like I said, with us, we don't have our own equipment, so we're not going to go look at self-driving tractors because it's not going to work for us and it's not going to benefit us at all. So, yeah, talk to everyone, see what's out there. Don't jump in. There's so much tech out there, you kind of get lost. But, yeah, definitely just kind of talk to everyone.
Sure. So would some advice then for, say you've got some AgTech companies in the room, which there are a few, would be to develop good case studies? Is that something that you would engage with, you would read, you would take that feedback a lot better having a local case study? Is that fair?
I believe that we were one of the first ones to introduce section and rate control automated, as far as I know, and we had to have a lot of patience with it. And it took us nearly a whole season to get it absolutely down pat, and once we did, it was good. But just to have that patience with it, not just to give up on it straight away, because you never know what you're actually going to get out of it. And if I was given up on it 2 months into it, I would have never got the results I've got out of the whole season. So that's how I figured. If you just give it that little bit more time and effort into it, it'll pay leaps and bounds.
Sure.
I guess my thought was similar. More be patient with it. You look at some of the stuff that we've been trying with moisture monitoring. Now, the majority of that's been done over the last 2 years. So if I was to jump to conclusions with the numbers I've got at the moment, I could very well jump in the wrong direction when things change around. The second part was have a look at other people as well. Choose one thing to work on. But read your case studies. I'll pick Sharp's brain. That way I don't have to trial it. I've got someone around the corner trialling something
Sure.
who can't help but brag. No, yeah, look at what's around and share information with each other, because someone made a good point before. If the whole region isn't doing the right thing, it doesn't matter how good you're doing by yourself.
I think one of the key things for me, and we see this all the time now, is data, and data is one of those tricky things where just about every AgTech solution these days either consumes or generates data. There have been some big challenges around who owns the data and where does it go and who looks after it. What is your own experience with data, and have you been able to use data for the purpose of good and not evil within your business?
Yeah, that's a good point. For us, sort of one of the pain points with data is, and agtech sort of companies, is how many there are and how many different solutions for different specific problems there are, and how many different logins and how many different data streams or dashboards that you have to use to sort of filter that data and get something out of it. And having the prompt to sort of actually go and look at your data and see what's going on there is a big one. And if that can all, come together in one spot, we've talked about it, he's swindled a bit. They bring together the data, but with the APIs and all of that, that's more of that is needed. Having the data on each in different dashboards, the one you might use the most, it's really important. And I know everybody's working on it, and it is a tricky area. But to the agtech companies, keep going for that because it's really handy.
Sure. And I think you make a good point about, I guess you call it interoperability. So this is, the ability for data coming out of one platform to be used somewhere else as well. And what do you do with 2 or 3 bits of data all at the same time that probably and might be telling you different things? Which one do you trust? So that's not a question, that's just an observation. But what do you reckon, Marty?
As far as telling you 2 different things, that can happen, but that's also when you go back a step to what I said before about having some support from the company and be able to say, hang on, what does this look like? I guess when I grabbed the mic, I was just going to say that for me, as someone who doesn't consider himself a viticulturalist, I'm a grape grower. The first things I found about having more data was that I now had numbers to go with feelings and other things like that. So that has made things, even in my head, a little bit more measurable. So I think that's a good thing for guys who do things a little bit more old school.
Yeah.
To be able to have some facts backing up what you think you're seeing or what you imagine's happening under the ground especially has been really good.
Yeah. Yeah, one of the things I noticed, and certainly chatting with you early on too, Marty, is with climate change and there is no normal now. I think every year is very different. And certainly when you chat with your dad or your grandfather and they'll say, have you ever seen this year before? And they start saying, no, this is the first time I've ever seen this. How are you making decisions? Because it's not based on history or your knowledge. You're now making things up for the first time. And I think that data is starting to become more important in being able to understand exactly what's going on at a particular point in time.
Just to go on from Marty's point, we've got a couple of different sensors in our site that we're kind of mainly just using it at this stage as kind of reference points on what we're seeing in the vineyard. Like we're kind of walking this vineyard every once a week or twice a week, and the sensors that we've got are telling us what we are seeing, and we've got a couple of different ones. So we've got Phytech dendrometers and the Athena IR Tech infrared sensors over top on the same vine, and they are correlating and they are doing the same, showing the same trends, which is good. So one's not throwing different data to the other. So it is showing that what we are seeing physically is what the sensors are telling us as well, which is good, which is most of kind of what we're doing with our tech. Is it's not there to take over our job at this stage. It's there currently as just another reference point and kind of data capture, collection, just to see what trends are happening and if what we're seeing is what the vines are responding to and what the data's or the tech is seeing. So,
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, great. Did anyone else want to have a final thought on data?
Yeah, just what Ben said. Ground truthing is, incredibly important. Your data could be telling you something, but it's not. So getting out there in the vineyard, that's the most important thing. Digging a hole, feeling how wet your soil is, making sure your soil moisture probe's telling you what you think it's telling you. Make sure your drippers are working. Feel your leaf temperatures. If you've got canopy temperature sensors, get out there and get involved. Yeah.
Sure. One last question for you. I'll start at the other end with you, Chappie, this time. What's not there? So what's the technology that you would like to see developed or on the horizon, or something that this is not on the list, by the way, something that you would really wish for that you don't think is there at the moment, that maybe the entrepreneurs in the room can take away and solve for you?
Autonomous pruners.
Sure.
They can just work anytime, day or night.
Yep.
And weeders that don't hook out vines.
That's good. I mean, there's some really practical stuff there. The autonomous pruner isn't a lot of people say the same thing, and it still baffles me that it hasn't been solved. But clearly for a reason, which is that it's pretty complex kind of task. But what about you, Marty? Anything that you don't have that you'd like to have?
Oh, there's probably millions of different things that I could dream up. I can't think of one thing. I think have the ability for lots of different things to be used under one platform, which was touched on earlier. I think that's.
Yeah.
I think the more that the ag tech companies talk together and work together, that'll make things a lot more affordable for growers, because you're not doubling up on a heap of information.
Yeah, that's right.
So an overarching platform would be amazing, I think.
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, on that, also a device that attaches to the tractor. This is outside the box, but a device that attaches to your tractor and essentially senses everything. So leaf area index, shoot length, evapotranspiration, absolutely everything. LiDAR senses the vines that are missing, senses the broken posts, got thermal on it, so it can do what Athena does, and see canopy stress while you're spraying, all of the things, and then put it in one dashboard. That'd be the dream.
Right. So you're asking for some mega company coming and buy all the ag tech companies? Yeah, sure.
It's happening.
Create.
That's actually happening already at this point in time. That they're looking at spraying as they go, how dense the canopy's going, and so they'll add more chemical out there or whatever it is, and not actually having to mix any chemicals as well. So you'd essentially put a liquid container on the back of your sprayer, and it would add it to the spray as it's spraying, rather than actually having to mix up chemical at all. So I'm not sure about your broken post, but yeah, good luck with that one.
One of the features that this
Yeah.
should have.
Sure.
I'd like to see something pull out cow trot by hand. Just cow trot.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Noted.
Yeah, just kind of everything that these guys have said, but also, I don't know, I feel like a unit may be something that does UDIPA detection before symptoms are shown, so then you can potentially remove that disease would, lay down Nucane or whatever before it's kind of too late, because I guess currently the only way to see it is to be destructive, so a non-destructive method of UDIPA.
Guys, thanks so much for your time and your insights. Really appreciate you sharing. I know it's not all of our favourite things to stand in front of people and talk to other people, but you guys have done a really good job. Much appreciated. And if you could thank them with a big round of applause, that'd be great. Thank you. Thanks, guys.